The tale opens with a lethal hitman tailing his target's vehicle, which is shielded by 2 escort cars. He speeds ahead, and a bag slips from his back, tumbling onto the road and triggering sharp obstacles that flip one of the cars. He immediately clashes with the guards in the second car and disables it by blowing out its tires. When he finally confronts his target, the bodyguard shoots at him but fails, managing only to escape. The assassin then leaps from a bridge. Moments later, he appears directly in their path. The bodyguard orders the driver to run him over, but the driver suddenly shoots the bodyguard, revealing himself as an assassin as well. They drag the target to a warehouse, where the target warns that his men won't spare them, angering the hitman, who shoots him. With the task done, they drive off. After completing the job, the two return to their spacious apartment. In their everyday routine, Kazuki takes care of all the housework, while Rei spends his time gaming. During missions, Kazuki crafts all the plans and Rei handles the actual killing. Later, Kazuki visits Ciro at his cafe, where they are praised for executing the job perfectly. They receive their next assignment along with payment for the last one. Kazuki takes half the cash and tells Kota to send the remaining portion to the usual person. On his way home, Kazuki is stopped by 2 attractive women who coax him into a bar. Unfortunately, he gambles away all his money and ends up shirtless, forced to walk home in the cold. The next morning, Kazuki bakes a cake while Rei prepares their weapons for the new mission. Their next target is a human trafficker, attending a hotel Christmas party. Their cover is to deliver a cake and slip inside. Meanwhile, a 4-year-old girl named Mirie steps off a train and runs through the city, asking strangers, and even a Christmas tree, if they've seen her father. After spending the whole day searching, she reaches a hotel and enters, hoping to find him. At the same time, Kazuki, dressed as Santa, arrives at the hotel. He tricks the guards into letting him take the cake up in the elevator. Suddenly, Mirie spots the cake and dashes into the elevator with him, derailing their plan. Panicking, he can't refuse when she begs to taste the cake. She happily eats it and asks if he's seen her dad. Before he can respond, the elevator doors open and she runs out, drawing attention. Rei is forced to shoot the guards from his hiding place beneath the cake trolley, while Kazuki chases after Mirie to prevent more chaos. Rei rushes down the hallway, eliminating additional guards. He hides behind a wall section and expertly snipes more of them. He breaks through a door and jumps inside. Kazuki and Mirie reach the party too, but she slips from his grasp. Guests flee in fear as Rei heads straight for the trafficking ring's leader. Kazuki loses sight of Mirie, only to spot her beside the target, asking if he is her father. The man instead grabs her as a hostage. Rei suggests shooting through Mirie to kill the target, but Kazuki refuses, terrified for her safety. He charges forward with a tray as a shield against the gunfire. He rips off his Santa beard and declares himself her father. He tells Mirie to jump, and as she leaps into his arms, Rei shoots the target dead and escapes by firing through a window. After the mission, Kazuki and Rei take Mirie home with them. Upon arriving, Kazuki can't help but smile at how adorable she looks while sleeping. The next morning, Mirie bangs on Kazuki's door, desperate to use the bathroom. When he steps out, she cries, "Papa, I need to pee." He races downstairs carrying her and places her in the bathroom, but the toilet is too tall, so she asks him to lift her. Afterward, she requests help again to wash her hands. Later, as Kazuki cracks eggs for breakfast, Mirie says she wants to try, but he refuses because the counter is too high. Annoyed, she walks away. While he's cooking, he notices her dragging a chair to reach the counter, only to fall with it. The noise wakes Rei, who steps out to check. Kazuki quickly hands Mirie over, hoping Rei can keep her busy. Mirie's eyes sparkle when Kazuki suggests she play with Rei. Rei lets her explore his video game collection, which she promptly scatters everywhere. When breakfast is ready, Kazuki hands Mirie her plate. She begins eating, but he stops her, reminding her to say, "Thank you for the food." He also stops Rei before he starts eating. Mirie happily digs in, delighted by how good the food tastes. They then look at the photos found in Mirie's bag and realize the man they killed at the Christmas party was her biological father. There's also a note from her mother, furious at him for abandoning them and insisting he take responsibility for Mirie. Since her father is dead, Kazuki and Rei decide they should return Mirie to her mother. However, when he asks Mirie, she has no idea where her home is. He asks where she came from, and she says, "From far away." When he asks who brought her, she replies that she walked a long distance and then took a train on her own. The only helpful detail she provides is that her mother works as a singer. Kazuki says they need Ciro's help to track down Mirie's mother and tells Rei to stay home with her. Rei refuses. Curious about what Kazuki is doing on his laptop, Mirie climbs onto the table, spills the coffee, and slips on it. After changing her clothes, Kazuki turns on the TV and tells her to relax until they return. Leaving her in the apartment, they head to Ciro's cafe. They persuade Ciro to look into their target's past girlfriends in hopes of finding Mirie's mother, but they keep Mirie a secret from him. Ciro is already frustrated about how disastrously the Christmas mission went, yet still assigns them their next job. As they leave, a mysterious man named Ino arrives and requests to be notified about future tasks. When Rai and Kazuki get home, they find the apartment in complete chaos, utensils scattered everywhere, the sofa overturned. Ri draws his weapon, thinking there's an intruder. While searching, they find out Mirie caused the mess playing hide and seek alone. She appears when she hears them still excited, then darts away. During dinner, Kazuki reads the details of their next target, a drug kingpin living in a heavily guarded mansion. Getting close will be difficult, so he asks Ray for ideas. Ray says to charge straight in and kill everyone, shocking Kazuki. Mirie then walks up and bluntly insults Kazuki's cooking before running off to play hide and seek. Kazuki begins looking for her, but each time he finds her, she runs to hide somewhere else. Ray comments that Kazuki is good at hide and seek, which sparks an idea for their mission. While they discuss the plan, Mirie becomes upset because Kazuki stopped playing with her. After gathering supplies, they prepare to leave but don't know what to do with Mirie. Kazuki tries bribing her with snacks, and she happily takes them. Just as they think she's satisfied and walk out, she follows them. When he shuts the door, she cries loudly, drawing the neighbors' attention, so they reluctantly take her along. The plan is for Ray to wait in the backyard while Kazuki pretends to be a security system repairman to draw out the target. But as Kazuki reaches the entrance, Mirie honks the car horn, saying she needs to pee. He tells her to hold it and proceeds. Inside the mansion, he reaches the security room, shocks the guard, and disables the CCTV. Then he begins planting explosives. Meanwhile, Mirie rings the front doorbell and asks a henchman if she can use the bathroom. He lets her in, but she spots Kazuki and shouts, "Papa, I found you! Are we playing hide and seek? Okay, I'm in!" before running off. The henchman chases Kazuki. Kazuki hits several buttons, accidentally triggering all the explosives, creating chaos so they can't catch him. Still chasing Mirie, he ends up in the target's room surrounded by guards. Just when things seem hopeless, the henchmen begin dropping one by one. Ray is shooting from the backyard with perfect precision. Kazuki shields Mirie while Ray wipes out the guards. Kazuki then grabs Mirie, hauls Ray along, who keeps shooting with his free hand, and they escape on a speedboat. Kazuki scolds both of them for ruining the mission. Ciro then calls to fire them from the job but also informs them he found a woman likely connected to their target, possibly Mirie's mother. Relieved, they hope they can finally return Mirie and resume normal work. Meanwhile, Ino successfully kills the kingpin and his guards. As the boss begs for mercy, offering anything in return, Ino shoots him. The next scene shows an injured dog and his child crying, "Dad, stop." But the man snaps, "Don't call me Dad, I'm your boss." Ray wakes up from this nightmare when he hears Mirie calling him for breakfast. She jumps on his stomach, jolting him fully awake. During breakfast, she happily eats her favorite meal, cornflakes with milk. Ray, surprisingly liking it, eats rapidly. As Kazuki talks to Ray, Mirie climbs into his lap. He shows her bananas so she'll get off and let him eat, but Ray notices how naturally Kazuki interacts with her. He questions if Kazuki really wants to give her up. Kazuki insists they can't raise a child with the lives they lead. Later, Kazuki visits Ciro, who gives him the address of Mirie's mother and subtly hints that he knows about the girl. At the park, Mirie digs up dirt and shapes it into little soil balls. Kazuki and Ray talk about their own childhoods. Kazuki reveals he never met his parents, which shaped the life he lives now, while Ray hints at having a troubled relationship with his own. Mirie runs over and offers Kazuki a soil ball, calling them dumplings. He takes one, and she tells him to eat it. He warns her not to call him Papa in public, but she looks around and points out no one is nearby. She is about to force him to eat it when a vendor steps out of his stall, and she rushes toward him, excited by the sweet potatoes he's selling. Mirie calls out, urging them to buy her some sweet potatoes. They settle it with a game of rock, paper, scissors, and Ray loses, so he's the one who has to get them for her. Watching Rai buy sweet potatoes for the little girl makes Kazuki question whether he has what it takes to be a father. Mirie returns, offering him a piece and cheerfully saying, "Let's share, Papa," which leaves Kazuki misty-eyed. While Kazuki goes to buy drinks, Mirie runs toward the swings. As she plays alone, a child protection officer approaches her, concerned that she's unsupervised. He asks who she's with, and she points at Ray. The officer asks if Ray is her father, but Rai denies it. Just then, Kazuki returns and claims he is her father. His earlier warning for Mirie not to call him Papa in public backfires. She refuses to say it. Kazuki lifts her up and manages to convince the officer before walking away. He then tells her that in certain situations it's fine to call him or Ray Papa, and tells Ray he needs to say he's her dad too. That night, Kazuki tries to scare Mirie, but she only laughs. When the lights go out, she peeks into Ray's room and finds it empty. Opening the bathroom, she sees Ray in the tub. He explains he sleeps there in case of an ambush. Wanting to feel safe, she climbs in with him. She tries to make him smile and play, but he says he wasn't raised to behave that way. Eventually, she falls asleep in the bathtub. The next day, Kazuki and Rai take Mirie to her mother. Again, Rai asks if Kazuki is sure about returning her, and Kazuki insists it's the right thing. When they arrive, Kazuki goes inside to check the workplace, leaving Rai and Mirie in the car. Inside the bar, he sees Mirie's mother practicing her singing. Suddenly, he's attacked by her boyfriend, the bar manager, who even slaps her. Kazuki fights back, knocking the man down. Enraged, the man grabs a broken bottle and attacks again. Kazuki receives a cut on his face but punches him hard enough to send him running. Mirie's mother is upset but still offers to treat his wound. Meanwhile, Mirie forces Rai to take her to a nearby park. She has a great time and makes him play on the seesaw. When she climbs the slide and waves at Rai, people judge him for not waving back, so he reluctantly does. They later sit on a bench, and he asks why she calls Kazuki Papa instead of her real father. She answers that a papa is someone who saves you when you're in trouble. This makes Rai think of his own father, who once kicked him and called him weak, telling him to kill or be killed. When Rai tried calling him dad, he snapped, "Don't call me dad, I'm your boss." Snapping back to the present, Rai realizes Mirie has wandered off. Back at the bar, Kazuki tells Mirie's mother he found her and is here to return her. She coldly says she doesn't want her back, claiming Mirie ruined her life. Kazuki is stunned and asks how a mother could say that when Mirie constantly talks about her with love, praising her hamburger steaks. She laughs, saying those were cheap packs she bought for 200 yen, and she doesn't understand why Mirie liked them since her father was wealthy. Kazuki, frustrated, asks why she won't take responsibility. She explains Mirie's father abandoned her, cheated with other women, and never cared about either of them. So why should she shoulder everything alone? Kazuki tells her she's being as irresponsible as he was and that Mirie is her child. This angers the woman, who snaps that Kazuki has never raised a child alone and can't understand her pain. She says her career fell apart because all her time went into Mirie's upbringing, then angrily throws bottles aside. Kazuki leaves, disgusted that a parent could resent their own child. At the park, Rai finally spots Mirie speaking with two police officers who think she's lost. They decide to take her to the station, but she refuses to go. Rai considers letting them take her, but when Mirie cries, "Save me, Papa," he chooses to be better than the father he had. Remembering her words, that a papa saves you, he approaches the officers and tells them to let her go. They ask if he's her guardian, and he says, "No, I'm her papa." He kneels, extends his hand, and says, "Calm Mirie." She runs to him, calling him Rai Papa. Holding her, he says, "Let's go home." On their way back to the car, they meet Kazuki. Mirie rushes to him, excited to tell him all the things she did with Papa Rai. Rai wonders what happens now, and Kazuki suggests they grab dinner, confirming that it's a meal for all three of them. Later, Kazuki gives Mirie some hamburger steaks, saying her mom sent them. Mirie eats happily and says they taste even better than Kazuki Papa's. Rai likes them too. Kazuki is proud that he managed to recreate the steaks Mirie's mother used to give her. That night, Mirie insists they all sleep together despite Rai and Kazuki not wanting to. They end up packed into one small bed, with Mirie sleeping peacefully while Kazuki is squeezed uncomfortably beside her. He asks Rai to move, but Rai is already fast asleep. Next morning, Mirie eagerly tries to assist. She attempts to help Kazuki pour detergent, but a small spill turns into a bigger mess on her second try, just when he thinks she's finally doing it right. Later, while Rai is on the treadmill, Mirie hops onto it, accidentally speeding it up, laughing as Rai is forced to run faster. In the kitchen, Mirie tries helping again but slips and creates another mess. Kazuki is stunned when he finds her using a vacuum cleaner on clothing. She apologizes for filling the bathroom with bubbles, and even when Rai waters the plants, Mirie somehow causes trouble again. Exhausted, Kazuki and Rai bring her to the park, where they notice a daycare van. That sparks the idea to enroll Mirie so they can work without her interrupting. Kazuki searches online for nearby daycares and starts calling, but some aren't taking new kids because they're full, while others tell him they need to register Mirie at a government office first, making him furious. Meanwhile, Mirie is already excited about daycare and can't wait. Kazuki and Rai take her to the government office to begin the registration process. When they arrive, the counter is still serving numbers 13 and 116, yet they're stuck with ticket 142. After a long wait, their number is finally called. Kazuki looks worn out as he speaks with the staff about all the documents needed to officially register Mirie. But once everything is completed, she'll be able to start school soon. Back home, Kazuki worries about submitting government documents due to his background as an assassin. Rai suggests they handle it with a bribe. At that moment, Mirie runs toward Kazuki just as he agrees with Rai's idea and prepares to toss out the paperwork. She jumps up, bumps her head into him, and knocks him over. Crying, she says, "Papa, you lied. You said I was going to daycare." So Kazuki decides forging documents is the best solution. Ray comforts Mirie, assuring her that Kazuki is getting her into daycare for sure. When everything is ready, Kazuki plans to submit the files the next day with Mirie and Ray. The paperwork is sealed, confirming Mirie is officially registered and can now attend the daycare of their choice. They take her to their first pick, and during the interview, the teacher asks whether both men are her fathers. Mirie answers yes and says Kazuki Papa cooks well, and even made fake documents for her daycare, while Ray Papa is great at shooting. Shocked, Kazuki insists she's talking about a toy gun, but Mirie denies it and starts exposing their work, forcing Kazuki and Rai to end the interview early. They later tell her to let them speak during future interviews. At the next one, when the instructors ask about her fathers, she praises them, saying they never do bad business. Kazuki quickly adds they work like city cleaners. The interview goes well, and the instructors approve her admission. Mirie celebrates and gives both men a high five. Back home, Kazuki and Rai toast her daycare approval with energy drinks. They then read the daycare's handbook and discover a list of items they need to buy for Mirie. The following day, they take her to a department store for supplies. Mirie's eyes sparkle at the fancy items. Kazuki tells Ray that making a good impression on ordinary people is important and believes purchasing high-end items helps them stand out. They buy many things, and when Mirie asks when she'll start daycare, Kazuki tells her tomorrow. She happily thanks him. While going over the handbook again, Rai notices they have to label every item with Mirie's name. Kazuki becomes irritated and refuses, calling it ridiculous, but when Ray reminds him that this helps her establish dominance, Kazuki gets even more annoyed and leaves to buy a sewing kit. Later, Mirie wants to write her own name, just like Ray did. When Kazuki returns, he finds she's damaged her expensive t-shirt by scribbling on it. Horrified, he asks if she knows how costly it was. Kazuki injures his finger again while sewing her name, then notices Rai has fallen asleep, leaving him frustrated about finishing the work alone. On Mirie's first day, they show up overdressed, drawing stares from other parents. As they enter, the caretaker Miss Anna greets them and compliments Mirie's outfit. Nearby mothers message in their group chat, calling Kazuki and Ray two hot dads. Anna guides them inside, showing the facilities Mirie will be using. She asks them about Mirie's daily routine. Kazuki proudly hands her the diary, but Anna notices he wrote about his own exhausting night instead of Mirie's schedule, embarrassing him. He gives her Mirie's lunchbox, but Anna explains the daycare provides meals. Ray mutters that they stayed up all night for nothing, and Kazuki snaps back that Ray slept. Kazuki and Ray leave Mirie at daycare, and Kazuki feels triumphant as if they've completed a mission. During playtime, Mirie asks a boy if she can join him, but he refuses and runs off. She struggles to make friends as the other kids avoid playing with her. While Kazuki and Ray sit at Ciro's cafe, Kazuki asks for work, and Ciro replies that he'll think about it. Later, when they pick Mirie up, she doesn't look cheerful after daycare. As she continues going, she seems even sadder each time Kazuki arrives. One evening, Kazuki comes early and notices Mirie sitting alone. Miss Anna approaches and explains that Mirie's clothing makes her stand out too much, recommending a different shop where they can find more ordinary outfits. They take Mirie shopping and are thrilled by how cheap everything is. Mirie asks for toys, and Kazuki tells her she can get as many as she wants since everything is inexpensive. Back home, they feel satisfied after buying so much. Mirie excitedly asks if she can wear her new outfit the next day, and Kazuki agrees, telling her not to worry about getting it dirty. Next morning, Kazuki drops her off in a more normal outfit. Miss Anna says it suits Mirie well and gives Kazuki a thumbs up. He stays for a bit to help her make friends by kicking a ball with her, drawing the attention of other kids who join in. Soon, everyone is playing together, and Mirie looks delighted. That evening, when Kazuki picks her up, she happily tells him she had fun. Later, Kazuki and Ray surprise her with her own bedroom. She loves it and hugs them gratefully. In the next scene, while Rai and Mirie play a game, Kazuki checks their expenses and grows anxious. They've spent too much on Mirie. He laments they're going broke. Ray asks why, and Kazuki cries that it's because they aren't working. But Ray and Mirie continue playing carefreely. Kazuki warns Rai there will be no games without income, making Ray gloomy, then adds there will be no pudding for Mirie, shocking her. He decides it's time for their last option and goes to Ciro to beg for work. Not trusting them with assassinations, Ciro assigns several smaller tasks. Kazuki accepts, saying they'll handle them no matter what. As they prepare to begin, the phone rings. It's the daycare. Kazuki learns the daycare will be closed for a week due to a flu outbreak. He panics, knowing Mirie will be home and disrupt their work. When they pick her up, she jumps into Kazuki's leg, excited to go home. On the way, Ray asks what they're going to do about their jobs, and Kazuki says one of them must stay home to watch her. Mirie suddenly asks what their job is, explaining she needs to learn about her parents' work for homework. Kazuki dodges the question, and when Ray tries to slip away, Mirie blocks him, asking if he's heading to his job. He turns back without answering, and she begs him to take her with him. That night, while Mirie sleeps, Kazuki looks worn out after 3 days of working at night and caring for her during the day. Rei is exhausted too and rests his head on the table. Kazuki grabs his hair to wake him, saying they still haven't finished the job. Next morning, Mirie watches her favorite cartoon while Kazuki asks Rei to watch her because he needs to go out. As he leaves, Mirie says she wants to come, but he tells her no, that he's going to work and she should stay with Rei. She pouts, and Rei falls asleep, ignoring her attempts to wake him. So she sneaks out, determined to follow Kazuki and discover his job. On the way, she sees a beautiful woman and imitates her walk. Still trailing Kazuki, she signals herself to stay quiet when another woman notices her. She peeks at Kazuki from behind a sign, but gets distracted when she sees a dog and stops to pet it, losing track of him. She then starts running to find him. When Rei wakes up, Mirie is gone. He searches the house but can't find her. Meanwhile, at Ciro's cafe, Kazuki receives Rei's call and learns she's missing. Shocked, he shouts in panic while Ciro listens silently. Mirie ends up at a place where several paths split, and passers-by look at her curiously. Kazuki rushes home and demands to know how long she's been gone, but Rei doesn't know. They search every corner but find nothing. Confirming she's missing, they split up. Rei checks the daycare while Kazuki heads to the riverside. They even ask strangers if they've seen her. Kazuki reaches the park and chases a girl he thinks is her, but it's not Mirie. Meanwhile, Mirie arrives outside Ciro's cafe and bumps into Ano, who lifts her up but puts her down after Mirie apologizes. Then Ciro comes outside and brings her in. Kazuki imagines terrible things happening to her until he and Rei finally reach the cafe and find her. She calls out, "Papa," excited to see them, confusing Ciro. Kazuki quickly says that her parents were searching everywhere, which puzzles Mirie. He thanks Ciro, sweating nervously, and Ciro replies sternly that he merely sheltered a lost child. When Ciro goes to serve a customer, Kazuki quietly tells Mirie not to call him Papa in front of Ciro. She says, "Got it," just as Ciro returns and asks what she got. Kazuki covers by saying it's nothing, just related to a babysitting job. They've been watching this kid, but she went missing and scared them. Ciro then asks about the job he assigned them. Kazuki explains they're working on it as fast as possible. Ciro insists the task must be finished on time. Kazuki admits they're overwhelmed, they have to watch Mirie and haven't slept. Rei adds that it's been 3 days without sleep. Ciro offers to look after Mirie so they can focus on the job. Meanwhile, Mirie finishes her drink and happily thanks him. Back at home, Mirie packs her bag, excited to go to Ciro's cafe. Rei asks Kazuki what they'll do if she spills their secrets in front of Ciro, and Kazuki, terrified, says the consequences would be fatal. Mirie runs over cheerfully saying, "Let's go, Papa," and Kazuki warns her again not to talk about them in front of Ciro. She promises with a smile. They drop her off, and when she almost calls him Papa, Kazuki quickly shushes her before he and Rei leave for their job. Ciro prepares a drink for Mirie and she lights up as she tastes it. On their way, Kazuki mutters that Ciro is colder than he seems, while Rei adds he's quite the ladies' man. Kazuki imagines Mirie announcing she'll marry Ciro and kissing him, which makes him panic and speed up the truck, determined to finish the job quickly and return to her. At the cafe, Mirie asks Ciro if he knows what Kazuki and Rei do for work. He says he does. Excited, she begs him to tell her since they never do. Ciro lies smoothly, saying Kazuki is a stand-up comedian. She asks what that means, and he explains it's someone who makes people laugh. Then he claims Rei is an oil baron, though Mirie doesn't understand. Meanwhile, on the mission, Kazuki cries that Mirie will expose everything, while Rei, focused on his target, tells him to be quiet. Back at the cafe, Mirie draws a picture with crayons, telling Ciro she's drawing their jobs. She slips and calls them Papa, then tries to cover it. Realizing something, Ciro gently asks if she wants to go home because her family might worry. Mirie answers that she's fine as long as she's with Kazuki and Rei. As she almost finishes the drawing, he asks if she likes them, and she says she loves them very much. Ciro smiles. Kazuki and Rei return after the job. Ciro tells them Mirie fell asleep. Rei picks her up gently, but even in sleep she calls them Papa. Kazuki rushes to explain they plan to return her to her real family eventually, but Ciro reveals calmly that he already knows everything. Thankfully, he doesn't mind as long as their situation doesn't interfere with work. Next day at daycare, Mirie presents her parents' job report, shocking the mothers with her claim that her dads are secret oil billionaires. Afterward, she runs to Kazuki and Rei, hugging them. Kazuki thanks her for the picture, and Rei praises her. Later at Ciro's cafe, Ciro admits he always knew. He says he had considered taking action but changed his mind after spending time with Mirie. He understands why they took her in. Still, he warns that their kind of life always comes with consequences, and asks if they're ready for whatever happens. In the next scene, Kazuki watches the news. An actor apologizes for his son, who was arrested for assault. Reporters blame lenient parenting. Kazuki starts worrying about his own parenting. wondering if he's too soft. He imagines teenage Mirie getting arrested for theft and lashing out at him for being raised by scum like you. He asks Rei what they'll do if she goes down the wrong path. Rei points out Kazuki talks as if he's flawless. Kazuki admits he's not. Parental abandonment shaped him, and decides he needs to be more attentive so Mirie doesn't grow up wrong. When he arrives to pick Mirie up, Miss Anna informs him that Mirie got into a fight with a classmate. Another child said Mirie hit first, but no adult saw it. She asks Kazuki to talk to Mirie at home. While Mirie watches Rei play a game, Kazuki asks if she fought today. She says no. He takes her face and asks again more seriously. Mirie insists she didn't hit anyone. Tiga was being a bad boy. Kazuki keeps pressing, upsetting her until she finally runs away saying she hates him. Kazuki is devastated. Next morning, he prepares lunch for Mirie's field trip, wanting to make the best meal so she can brag about her dad's cooking. Rei teases him, saying he's trying to get on her good side. Kazuki is still aching from yesterday. Mirie comes in, but when he tries to talk to her, she turns away and says, "I don't like you, Papa." It crushes him. She insists she'll go to daycare with Rei today. After they leave, Kazuki mourns that she dislikes him now. He imagines apologizing to a teenage Mirie in jail, only for her to yell at him again. Spotting the lunchbox, he panics and rushes outside to deliver it, but Rei has already returned. Kazuki says he forgot to pack her lunch and wants to take it to her himself. Rei tells him the bus has already left. Kazuki insists they should chase the bus and deliver the lunch. Meanwhile, Mirie and her classmates arrive at the zoo, where Miss Anna tells everyone to stay close as she leads the group. They first come across a beaver, then a tall giraffe enjoying its meal, followed by two rhinoceroses clashing with each other. The kids try balancing on one leg like flamingos. Tuga dashes around with a hamster perched on his head, while the others gently pet hamsters and rabbits, earning him a scolding from Miss Anna. Later, as Mirie and her classmates watch the monkeys, Tiga startles them from behind. Mirie warns him to keep quiet so the monkeys won't run away. Soon after, Tiga bolts in the opposite direction. Mirie calls out that it's dangerous to wander off alone, but he ignores her, forcing the kids to chase after him. At the same time, Kazuki and Rei arrive at the zoo, hoping to deliver Mirie's forgotten lunch. As the children follow Tiga, they realize they've gotten separated from the group. Mirie reassures them, telling Tiga to stick with her so they can find their way back. She takes his hand and the three of them run off to search for Miss Anna. Elsewhere, Rei stands beneath a tree, communicating with Kazuki, who has climbed up to look for Mirie. Spotting her holding hands with Tiga, Kazuki immediately imagines a teenage Mirie confessing love to the same boy. Furious, he keeps watching until he sees two other girls with Tiga as well. Outraged, he shouts that the brat has two more girls, and that Mirie isn't a toy. Rei pretends not to know him as onlookers stare at the scene. Realizing the kids are lost, Kazuki and Rei quietly trail them without directly stepping in. Mirie looks over her shoulder at one point, sensing someone behind them, but sees no one and continues on. Tuga eventually collapses onto a bench exhausted. Mirie tries to pull him up, insisting they need to find Miss Anna. Hearing his name, Kazuki realizes this is the boy she supposedly fought and worries another argument will break out. Because Tiga is too tired, Mirie agrees to take a short break. While drinking water, he spills some and Mirie gently wipes it away with her handkerchief. Kazuki notices how kindly she treats him despite their earlier conflict. Just then, Mirie spots a man taking food from a vendor's cart without paying. She steps in, telling him stealing is wrong. He tries to leave, ignoring her, but she blocks his path, irritating him. As he attempts to hurt her, a rock suddenly strikes him, thrown by Rei to stop the man. The shopkeeper arrives as the thief backs off, leaving the stolen food behind and promising revenge. The search continues. Tiga runs toward a Mario Kart attraction and Mirie excitedly joins him, saying she loves Mario Kart too. They happily chat while two girls watching comment that they look like friends now. Tiga asks how she knows the game, and she proudly says Papa Rei is good at it. Tuga says her dad is awesome, and she agrees, saying she loves Rei Papa. Kazuki fumes, wondering why Rei gets all the praise, while Rei quietly smirks. Mirie and Tiga enjoy the ride while the others tremble in fear. Later, Mirie and her friends stop for lunch. Kazuki is still stressing over how to give her the meal he made. When she realizes she doesn't have one, Tiga shares his food with her, apologizing for being mean the previous day. Watching them eat, Kazuki sighs, thinking he'll have to take her untouched lunch back home. Suddenly, the thief from earlier returns, grabbing Mirie and demanding the kid's hand over their lunches. Tiga grabs the man's arm to shield her but gets caught instead. Mirie pleads for him to let Tiga go. Before the thief can react, Kazuki and Rei suddenly appear in mascot costumes. Kazuki as an alpaca and Rei as a rabbit. The thief tries to fight them, but Rabbit quickly stops him with a clean hit, and Alpaca follows with a headbutt and a kick, knocking the thief to the ground. Mirie hugs the rabbit and thanks him for saving them. and the other kids show their gratitude as well. The mascots tell them to be careful and leave. Behind the scenes, Kazuki and Ray pull off the masks, hoping the children didn't recognize them. Soon after, Miss Anna reunites with the lost kids and is surprised to see Mirie and Tiga getting along. Mirie runs over and hugs Kazuki, saying she had a wonderful day. As she goes to change her clothes, Ray hands Kazuki Mirie's diary, where Miss Anna wrote that Mirie accidentally hit Tiga the previous day. It wasn't an actual fight. Kazuki feels awful for doubting her and arguing when she kept telling him it wasn't her fault. When Mirie returns, he hugs her tightly and apologizes for being upset. The next day, a woman named Karen visits Ciro's cafe and asks Ciro where Kazuki is. Later that evening, Kazuki arrives to pick up Mirie from daycare on a rainy day. She happily sings as she walks toward him, then starts twirling in the rain. Her umbrella suddenly slips from her hand and blows toward the road. Kazuki grabs her before she can chase it. A truck runs over the umbrella, triggering a flashback of another umbrella destroyed in an accident. Mirie rushes to retrieve the broken pieces, saddened because it was her favorite. Kazuki tells her he'll buy her a new one, and they start heading home. Arriving home, Mirie rushes over to Ray, who's absorbed in Mario Kart. She watches him play with bright excitement. Kazuki asks Ray for a towel, but Ray ignores him. As Kazuki steps closer, the water dripping from Mirie's raincoat soaks his socks. They pray before eating, and the moment Ray finishes, he gets up to leave. Kazuki then notices the messy table left behind by Rai and Mirie and sighs in disappointment. Afterward, Mirie asks about her large daycare towel. Kazuki can't remember where it is and calls out to Ray, who's busy working out and still doesn't respond. Then Kazuki finally spots the towel on the sofa. Later, while searching through his drawer, Kazuki finds a photograph of himself with his beloved, and the memory weighs heavily on him. Meanwhile, Mirie falls asleep while he stitches her name onto her daycare handkerchief. Kazuki tells Ray he needs more help with Mirie since he handles most of the chores. Rai insists he is helping. Kazuki asks how. Ray replies we'll play games together and stuff. Kazuki tells him that's not enough, he needs more support. Ray says he's doing his best. On his way home from the store, Kazuki notices Karen and quickly hides in an alley, confused about why she's there. Two women appear and begin chatting loudly beside him. One even grabs his hand, saying she missed him and wants him to join them. Panicking at the thought of Karen seeing this, he blurts out that he's getting married soon and hurriedly escapes. Back home, he gets straight to chores while thinking, is this happiness? Just endless work every day. As he cooks, Mirie tugs at him, wanting to play. Irritated, he almost raises his voice, but her innocent question, "Why won't you play with me?" stops him cold. Then the doorbell rings. He calls Ray to answer it, but Ray doesn't respond, so Kazuki goes himself. Mirie clings to his leg as he walks. At dinner, Mirie asks Rai to eat her tomatoes. He refuses, saying he doesn't like them. Both of them begin complaining about the meal. Kazuki, fed up, snatches their plates away, telling them they don't have to eat at all. They whine louder, begging for French toast instead. Kazuki finally snaps, shouting, "Do you think I'm your maid?" and storms into his room, slamming the door. Confused, Mirie asks Ray what's wrong. Ray has no idea. Next morning, Mirie wakes Ray, saying she's hungry. He asks where Kazuki is, but she doesn't know. They find a note saying Kazuki will be out for the day. The entire house is a mess and Mirie is still hungry. Rai realizes he now has to step up. He checks the kitchen, finds cornflakes and serves them to Mirie. She happily says they're delicious and that Kazuki Papa never lets them eat stuff like this. She then asks if they're going to daycare today. Ray panics when he sees the time it's late. He quickly dresses her and packs her bag. It's raining heavily, so he takes her on his bike and Mirie enjoys the ride. Kazuki, meanwhile, hides at Ciro's cafe, hoping that by disappearing for a day, Ray and Mirie will appreciate him more. He vents about the burden he carries. Ciro tells him that his sister-in-law Corinne returned the money he sent again. He advises Kazuki to speak to her directly, but Kazuki walks out instead. Ray and Mirie arrive at daycare, only to find no one there. Checking his phone, Rai realizes it's Sunday. Kazuki heads to a casino and starts gambling. Luck is on his side, and he wins big. Women crowd him, hugging him and cheering. He feels elated, soaking in the attention. Back home, Ray is exhausted from caring for Mirie, who is busy playing video games. Later, she sneezes while drawing and tells Ray she's hungry. He orders pizza. She hugs him, delighted that they won't have to eat vegetables. After drinking heavily, Kazuki sees a man walking with his daughter and is suddenly reminded of Mirie. But instead of going home, he looks away and keeps walking. He bumps into a man, who throws him to the ground and warns him to watch his mouth. Back home, Ray checks the time. Kazuki still hasn't returned. Mirie asks why Kazuki Papa isn't home yet. Rai sighs and says he thinks Kazuki abandoned them. Kazuki, trying to stand up, sees a woman he mistakes for his late wife, but it's actually her sister, Karen. She asks if he's okay and tells him Ciro explained everything. Kazuki tries to leave, but she loudly says she can't accept the money he sends. Kazuki replies that he'll stop sending it. She asks why he sends it at all, saying, "It's not like my sister's death is your fault, right?" Kazuki answers that it is his fault, because he killed her. A flashback reveals the truth. On a mission, Kazuki chases a target down a dark alley. The man escapes by hijacking a car. As he speeds off, someone shoots at the tire, causing the car to lose control and crash into a gas truck. An enormous explosion erupts. Tragically, Kazuki's wife Yuzuko happens to be crossing the street at that exact moment. Before he can warn her, the blast engulfs her, sending her umbrella flying. Next morning, Rei wakes up feeling a warm sensation on him. It's Mirie. When he touches her, he realizes she has a fever. Kazuki still hasn't returned. Rei checks her temperature, sees it's dangerously high, and tries calling Kazuki, but he doesn't pick up. He searches for children's medicine but finds none. With no other choice, he decides to take her to the hospital, only to realize he doesn't know where one is. So he grabs Mirie and rushes to Ciro to ask for help. Kazuki visits Yuzuko's grave and gently tells her that he hasn't forgotten her. After spending a quiet moment there, he walks away and heads to a familiar place, where memories flood back, specifically the moment he first met her. He remembers collapsing from injury, unable to move, when Yuzuko approached him and asked if he was okay. Just then, Karin appears and points out that this is the spot where he first encountered her sister, right? Kazuki looks sorrowful as she talks about Yuzuko. He recalls Yuzuko being pregnant with their child and is overwhelmed with regret. Karin reminds him that Yuzuko wanted him to find happiness and urges him to start anew instead of clinging to grief. She then brings up the child he took in, saying she believes he can bring joy to her life. Kazuki promises he'll do his best. At that moment, sunlight breaks through the clouds as the rain ends. Kazuki seems lighter, and Karin smiles warmly at him. He returns home to find the house a mess. Peeking into Mirie's room, he discovers Rei and Mirie asleep together, and her fever gone. Next morning, they serve him French toast. Mirie eagerly urges him to eat it, watching closely. After tasting it, he bursts out loudly, "I'll show you suckers what real toast is," and breaks into a smile. He then gives Mirie her new umbrella, and she joyfully dances around with it. Finally, he places Yuzuko's picture on his desk. Early the next morning, Rei gets ready to go somewhere. As he steps out, Mirie appears, half asleep, and asks if he's heading out. He says he's going home. She replies, "But this is your home." Rei pauses, admits she's right, and leaves anyway. Kazuki emerges and asks if they have a job today. Rei says no. Kazuki wonders why Rei seems so serious. Mirie waves goodbye and nearly reveals something before Kazuki stops her. He relaxes only when she turns away and mutters sheesh. As Rei heads out, Kazuki tells him not to stay out too late. Then Kazuki asks Mirie where Rei is going. She says Rei told her he's going home. She then announces it's time to start their mission. Kazuki agrees. Rei arrives at an enormous gate surrounded by cameras. He enters and walks toward his father's mansion. As he opens the door, he realizes it's been 3 years since he last came here. Meanwhile, while shopping, Mirie asks Kazuki if Rei has 2 homes. Kazuki explains that the other one is where Rei used to live with his father. She then asks, "So Rei Papa's father is my grandpa?" Kazuki says yes, sort of. Mirie says she wants to meet him. Kazuki immediately refuses, calling him a diabolical man. Mirie asks what diabolical means. Kazuki explains it means scary. She asks if it's like when Miss Anna sings songs at school. Remembering her loud singing, Mirie shudders. Kazuki says it's not quite like that. Rei steps into his father's room and greets him. His father comments that living with peasant, like Kazuki, must have taught him manners, meaning Kazuki isn't entirely useless. But then he criticizes Rei's performance on recent jobs, suggesting Kazuki's influence is the reason. Rei remains silent. His father insists that being an assassin is in Rei's blood, and tells him it's time to return home to lead the family organization. He says he allowed Rei to live outside only because Rei promised to come back one day. But now Rei has formed pointless attachments that threaten the business. He says something must be done about Kazuki. Rei pleads with him not to involve Kazuki and asks for time to think. His father agrees but orders him to complete a job by the end of the day. Looking through the files, Rei recognizes the target. His father tells him the man betrayed their organization and must be eliminated. Rei accepts the assignment. Meanwhile, Kazuki and Mirie are preparing a surprise birthday party for Rei. Mirie asks why Rei Papa's father called him, and Kazuki explains that his father is angry at Rei for rebelling against the strict training meant to make him the next head of the family. He says that was when he met Rei for the first time, back when Rei acted like a robot. Mirie excitedly asks if he could shoot beams like a robot, then makes a face when Kazuki says not that kind of robot. She wonders if Rei Papa can make up with Grandpa. Kazuki says he's not sure. Just then, Rei calls, telling Kazuki he'll be late. Kazuki tries to mention they have plans prepared, while Mirie clings to him because she also wants to talk. Kazuki holds her back. but Rai can hear Mirie's voice in the background. Mirie then pulls the phone down and tells Ray to come soon because they have pizza too. Kazuki quickly ends the call. Ray steps outside, and Ano comments that Ray is the heir to the great Suwa family. Ray's father watches from the window as Rai leaves with Ano. Ano drives Rai to the target's location while sharing intel. Ray says he already knows the target and learned many skills from him, but now has to kill him because he tried to leave the organization for a woman he loves. Ano asks Ray why he kills, whether it's for the Suwa family or simply for pleasure. Ray dodges the question by asking Ano why he kills. Ano explains he follows a personal philosophy that justifies it. Ray calls it distasteful. When they arrive, Ano asks Rai to share the target's final words so he can record them in his notebook. Ray walks to the pier to face the target. The man immediately understands why Ray is there and draws his weapon. They start fighting. During the clash, the man says he's known Ray since he was young and was shocked when Ray abandoned the family. But now that Rai is acting on his father's orders, he sees Ray is a true Suwa after all. He runs upstairs with Ray in pursuit. They exchange gunfire. Ray gets close and they fight hand to hand. Suddenly, the man kicks Ray with great force, sending him crashing to the ground. Meanwhile, Mirie waits for Rai to return home after they've finished setting everything up for the celebration. She turns to Kazuki and asks why Ray Papa always seems sad. Kazuki answers that his face just naturally looks that way. Mirie quietly adds that sometimes when her mom tries to look cheerful but is really hurting inside, Ray Papa has that same expression, except he looked even more down today. That's why they made his favorite dishes and planned a surprise. She asks if he'll smile today, and Kazuki tells her he will. Back with Ray, the target fires at him while he dodges. Then Ray chases him as he bolts up the stairs. Ray reaches the terrace and scans the area, only for the target to leap down on him and start another brawl. The man taunts him, saying he behaves like a mindless puppet for the organization, always ready to strike anyone they point at, calling him a true assassin. Ray replies that it's the organization's law. If someone walks away, they must pay with their life. The target retorts that Ray will never understand because he found something he wanted to protect, which changed everything for him. He grabs Ray and tries to hurt him, but Ray shoves him off, injuring his hand. The target tackles Ray to the ground and attempts to finish him, but Ray aims his weapon at him. Then Ray unexpectedly lowers it and says he also has something he wants to protect. The target refuses to believe him and charges again. Ray stops him with a bump to the head and a shot to the leg. The man stumbles backward, crashes through a railing and plummets. Ray tries to catch him but fails. He runs downstairs, only to see Ano already there, standing beside the lifeless body. Ano opens his notebook and asks what the man's last words were, but Ray keeps them to himself. They were, "I'm on my way." Ano loads the body into the back of the car and tells Ray to head back. But Ray chooses to stay behind, mulling over the target's words. His phone rings. Kazuki asks when he's coming home. Ray says he needs some time alone. He then drifts into thoughts of every assassination he has carried out, wondering if he's capable of changing. Kazuki suddenly appears to pick him up. Ray refuses, so Kazuki insists, saying there's no time and orders him into the car. While driving, Ray asks how Kazuki found him, and Kazuki reminds him he set up his phone. Ray calls him overprotective, but Kazuki says Mirie would have been heartbroken if he hadn't shown up, so he traced the location. He also mentions he told Mirie about the first time he met Ray, how unkempt and lifeless Ray had been when Kodo introduced them. Ray says Kazuki wasn't exactly a useful coworker back then either, leaving Kazuki surprised since Ray had never said anything like that before. Ray adds that at first Kazuki meant nothing to him, but then Kazuki kept cleaning. Kazuki explains he just couldn't stand seeing Ray living like that. He cleaned Ray's entire place, bathed him, trimmed him, cooked him proper meals, and little by little Ray began enjoying life with him. Ray then asks if they can truly change, and Kazuki answers that they can. When they arrive home, Ray sees what's left of the surprise birthday setup Kazuki and Mirie prepared. Mirie is fast asleep from waiting so long. Ray then remembers that today is his birthday. Kazuki lights the candles, and half asleep Mirie wakes up, softly sings "Happy Birthday, Ray Papa," then dozes off again. Ray smiles, and Kazuki whispers to her, "You did it, Mirie." Later, Ano delivers a new assignment to Ciro, sent directly by the boss, Ray's father. Ciro opens the envelope and finds the next targets Kazuki and Mirie. The following day, Kazuki cheers Mirie on as she trains for her upcoming field day race. She runs over to him with shining eyes when he shows her the timer, telling her she broke her own record and will definitely win. Ray hands her a towel, and Kazuki announces that it's their duty to guide and encourage her. Ray begins giving complicated advice, which completely confuses Mirie. After wiping her face, she declares she wants a gold medal and runs off to keep practicing. She takes her position, and when Kazuki calls, "Start," she dashes forward while Ray watches. Kazuki nudges him to cheer along with him. Later, they stop by Ciro's cafe for drinks. They tell him about Mirie's field day happening on Sunday. Mirie proudly says she practiced a lot. Ray shoots Kazuki a gloomy glare when Kazuki pats her and praises her grit. Mirie adds that they'll take many pictures to show Kaio-chan later. But Ciro looks troubled because the new targets are Kazuki and Mirie. That night, a man suddenly bursts into Mirie's daycare by crashing through a wall. He scans the room carefully and reaches into his bag to pull something out. In the following scene, it's the morning of Marie's sports day, and Kazuki is busy preparing a special lunch for the event. Ray shows up, and it turns out he was the mysterious man from the nursery. Kazuki starts sweating nervously, wondering what Ray ended up doing, but Ray calmly says the mission went perfectly. Kazuki freezes in shock when Ray suddenly asks if he can help, and he quickly checks on him since Ray has never volunteered before. Ray begins assisting by scooping rice into a bowl to shape rice balls. Kazuki becomes emotional watching him work. Ray asks whether Mirie will like them, and Kazuki says she'll be thrilled that Ray Papa made them. Ray then asks what exactly happens at a field day, and Kazuki admits he's never been to one either, but assumes they'll just cheer for the kids running around. At that moment, Mirie wakes up, amazed by the delicious meal, and rushes to the table delighted to see all her favorite dishes. Kazuki mentions that Ray helped make the rice balls today. When they arrive at daycare, Kazuki tells her they'll be cheering from the sidelines. The daycare is fully arranged for the event. Mirie says goodbye, runs to her friends, and tells them to give it their best. Kazuki then asks Ray where he reserved their viewing spot. Everyone is stunned when they see the location he secured. It looks like a restricted zone wrapped in barbed wire. Kazuki says people probably think some strange person set that up. They pick another place and notice that all the parents are already prepared with cameras. Kazuki and Ray take out their own gear, ready to capture the best shots of Mirie. A group of mothers suddenly appears, chatting with Kazuki while Ray wonders when Kazuki became so close to them. Ray asks and Kazuki explains they drop their kids off every day, so they naturally got to know each other, adding that they're quite popular among the moms. One mother says she really likes Ray Papa because he has a cool, mysterious hitman vibe. Kazuki awkwardly laughs and tells Ray it's a strange thing to say. Another mother adds that Ray Papa feels like an oil baron and Kazuki like a comedian, both very cool, while Ray listens quietly. Soon the kids line up for the opening ceremony, and all the parents clap as Miss Anna announces the start of field day with a small parade. Kazuki rushes to capture photos of Mirie as the children march onto the ground. He calls out to her while taking pictures, and Mirie smiles sweetly at the camera. The moms comment that Kazuki Papa seems extremely attached to her as he tears up from excitement. Ray wonders if this is normal behavior. When Mirie sits with her group, the principal announces that the representative M will begin with a greeting. Kazuki is surprised as Marie's friend wishes her luck and Mirie steps onto the stage. She takes the mic and says they practiced a lot and will do their best, asking teachers and parents to cheer for them. Kazuki whistles loudly, prompting the principal to tell him to tone it down. Kazuki and Ray seem confused about the next game until Anna explains that they'll start with a dance ball toss. Mirie dances along with the other children, and when the whistle sounds, she begins throwing balls into the net. Moms cheer, calling their kids adorable. Kazuki enthusiastically roots for Mirie while Ray watches silently. The next event is a teacher versus student tug-of-war with Miss Anna on Marie's team. It looks like it might end in a tie, but Anna pulls harder and wins. Kazuki remarks on how impressive she is and Ray agrees. The children praise Miss Anna's strength. After that comes the gymnastic formation by Marie's class, and Kazuki cheers loudly while Ray observes quietly. The moms go wild as their kids form cute shapes. Suddenly, Kazuki becomes irritated when he sees Mirie happily interacting with TGA, and Ray repeatedly mutters, "He dies." Kazuki glares and says it's not nearly as funny when he says it. Miss Anna then announces lunchtime. Seeing all the tasty dishes Kazuki made, the children light up. The moms ask if he prepared everything, and he says almost all of it. He even tells them there's plenty and they should help themselves. When Marie's friend says she wants some too, Mirie suggests everyone should eat together, and her friends happily agree. Ray watches silently as the children enjoy the food Kazuki made. He looks down at his own rice balls, feeling unsure, thinking he shouldn't offer them because the kids might not like them. Then Mirie turns and says she wants to try Ray Papa's rice balls. She bites into one and discovers choco rings inside. Her friends taste theirs and find gummies and strawberry jam. Kazuki is horrified thinking Ray made strange rice balls, but Mirie beams, saying they're delicious and the others love them too. She thanks Ray and he smiles slightly. When break ends, Mirie declares that she's going to win the gold medal. Kazuki encourages her, saying she worked hard enough to get it. She announces that she's heading out, and Ray tries to cheer but can't get the words out. Anna blows the whistle, and the kids begin running while parents cheer. She calls the next group, and Mirie looks nervous as she steps up. Ray comments on her nerves, and Kazuki says it's making him nervous too. He shouts for her to relax and assures her everything will be fine. The whistle blows and the children sprint. Mirie runs as fast as she can while Kazuki cheers loudly. Seeing her struggling with nerves, Ray pushes past his shyness and yells out encouragement. Kazuki is stunned to hear him shout like that. Suddenly, a loud noise scares Mirie, making her trip during the race. She quickly gets up and keeps running toward the finish line. Kazuki and Ray are shocked, and Ray realizes his shout caused it. Mirie finishes the race but receives only a participation medal instead of gold. Feeling down, she goes to her papas and apologizes for not winning. Kazuki gently reassures her, telling her not to worry because she gave it her all. Meanwhile, TGA proudly shows his gold medal to his parents, and Kazuki and Mirie try to console Ray, who blames himself for Mirie's loss. Suddenly, Mirie hears the announcement for the parent-child games and grabs Kazuki's hand, insisting they play together. She says she wants to play with both of them, but Ray, still upset, tells them to go without him. Mirie turns to him and says, "Ray papa, watch me. This time I'll win the gold medal," before heading off with Kazuki. Ray watches them go, thinking that cheering is a lot harder than he expected. All the parents gather in one spot as Miss Anna announces the parent-child race. Mirie waves at Ray, telling him to watch her, and Ray waves back. When Miss Anna signals the start, everyone races off. She explains that they'll face several obstacles along the way. The first is to bite a snack hanging in the air. Mirie climbs onto Kazuki's back and tries to grab it with her mouth, but TGA has already eaten his, frustrating Kazuki. Next is the sack race. Mirie and Kazuki hop forward trying to catch up, but TGA and his father remain ahead. In their attempt to speed up, Mirie and Kazuki tumble to the ground. Mirie apologizes and Ray grows concerned, but Kazuki reassures her and they get back up. The final challenge is a scavenger hunt. Miss Anna explains that they must pull a card from a box, find the item written on it, and bring it to the finish line. Mirie picks a card, reads it, and when Kazuki asks what it says, she suddenly darts off toward Ray. She grabs his hand and pulls him along, telling him to come with them. Confused, Ray runs beside her until they reach Kazuki, and Mirie shouts for both of them to run. Realizing the answer, they each take one of her hands and sprint together. A mother comments on how fast Ray papa is, while the children watch excitedly. With Ray joining in, their speed increases, and they quickly outpace everyone. They cross the finish line first and win the race. Ray smiles, and Mirie joyfully says she did it. Kazuki beams with pride as Mirie celebrates her gold medal. When Ray asks what was written on the card, she hands it to him. It says, "Family." Understanding the meaning, Kazuki tears up and Mirie laughs, teasing him for crying even though he's a grown-up. Anna suggests they take a family photo, and Mirie eagerly agrees. Ray reminds Kazuki that they're assassins, but they still take the picture. By the end of the day, they walk home completely drained, with Mirie already asleep in their arms. Elsewhere, Aino reminds Ciro not to forget the job as he looks at their family photos. The next day, Miss Anna tells the children that Christmas is coming, and they should practice a song for the daycare party. She begins singing with the piano but struggles, and TGA laughs along with the other children. Mirie then says she can sing the song and begins singing beautifully. She smiles when everyone praises her voice, and Miss Anna says they'll all practice together. On the way to pick up Mirie later, Kazuki says they need to decide on a Christmas present for her. When they arrive outside the daycare, they see a woman standing there. Ray asks if she's Mirie's mom, and Kazuki confirms it's her, Asaka Miki. She introduces herself politely. Kazuki, remembering their conversation at the bar, asks why she's here. He is stunned when she says she's come to take Mirie back. He angrily reminds her that she abandoned Mirie and didn't want to see her again, so it's too late. She insists she's her mother and has the right to live with her daughter. Kazuki becomes furious, but Ray stops him, warning that it could cause a scene. Just then, Mirie spots her mother and runs toward her. Kazuki tries to stop her, but she happily hugs Miki, who says she missed her a lot. Kazuki's hope collapses as he watches them. Back at home, Mirie shows her drawings to her mother. Kazuki mutters that they shouldn't have let this woman into their home. While Mirie's mom praises her artwork, Ray says they couldn't speak seriously in front of everyone at daycare. Mirie then shows her mom her room. Miki asks if all the things inside belong to her. When Mirie opens her wardrobe full of clothes, her mom asks if she is happy living here, and Mirie says yes. Miki replies that she should continue living with them. Mirie hugs her, saying she loves her mama but also loves her papas. Miki apologizes for sending her away. Mirie then excitedly announces that she wants to eat her mom's hamburger steak and asks her papas to eat with them. Kazuki is stunned. Miki says she'll use their kitchen, which fills Kazuki with jealousy, but Ray points out that Mirie is happy. Miki starts cooking, but Kazuki whispers angrily to Ray that she'll ruin his kitchen. When she serves the food, Mirie eats with joy. Kazuki snaps that it's not better than the steak he makes, but Mirie happily tells her mom it's delicious, and Miki is relieved Mirie likes it. Ray quietly admits it tastes good, which only irritates Kazuki even more. After dinner, Mirie tells her mother that she'll be singing Silent Night at the Christmas party. While Kazuki cleans the table, her mom comments that they used to sing it together. Mirie asks her to sing with her now, but Miki jokes that she charges a high fee and doubts her papist can afford it. Ray stares at her, and Mirie tells her papist to pay up, but Kazuki yells absolutely not. Later, after covering Mirie with a blanket as she sleeps, Ray joins Kazuki and Miki. She pulls out a cigarette, but Kazuki stops her, saying smoking isn't allowed because a child lives there. He asks why she suddenly wants Mirie back. Miki reveals she has throat cancer, can't sing anymore, and lost her job. Ray bluntly asks if she's going to die, and Kazuki shuts him up. Kazuki tells her he doesn't care about her tragic situation because it has nothing to do with Mirie. Miki says that after everything she's endured, fate dealt her this final blow. She admits she doesn't have long to live, begging for forgiveness and asking for a chance to start over with her daughter. She says she'll return to her parents' home and take Mirie with her. Kazuki grows upset and tells her to stop. She pleads again, asking for her child. Kazuki tries to walk away, but Ray says to let Mirie enjoy the Christmas party first before deciding anything. While Mirie sleeps contentedly, Miki says she'll rent a nearby apartment so Mirie can keep attending daycare a bit longer. She explains she wants to spend the rest of her life living for Mirie. Kazuki says he still doesn't believe her. Ray reminds him that Marie's feelings matter too. Miki thanks them for taking care of her daughter and hints that she knows about their assassin lives, threatening to blackmail them if needed. Kazuki and Ray are stunned, unsure how she found out. She says that as Marie's mother, she can't leave her in their care anymore. She leaves, saying she'll return, and this time she'll take Mirie. Kazuki and Ray head to Ciro's cafe and tell him about Marie's mother. Ray asks how she knows where they live and that they're assassins. Ciro casually admits he told her, causing Kazuki to spit out his drink. Ciro shows them a family photo, and Ray insists they never took that picture. Ray's eyes burn with anger when Ciro says Aino took it. Kazuki asks if Aino is after Mirie. Ciro explains the organization thinks Marie's presence is making them sloppy. If they don't remove her themselves, the organization will intervene, and that would be much worse. That's why he contacted her mother. Ray remembers his father's warning that the target had betrayed the organization and that Ray was ordered to kill him as punishment for disobedience. Kazuki argues that they can't just hand Mirie over. Ciro reminds them that they're the ones who killed her father, so trying to live a happy family life is pointless. One day Mirie will learn the truth and resent them, so they should forget this dream before it shatters. The next morning as Mirie sleeps, Kazuki lifts her blanket, and she murmurs that there's no daycare today. He tells her they're going out, and she instantly jumps up, excited. Kazuki bangs utensils loudly to wake Ray, and Mirie giggles when he jumps. While heading out, Kazuki tells Ray they should have one last family day they won't regret. Mirie asks where they're going, and she pouts when Kazuki says it's a secret. Ray gives him a look. When they reach the location, Kazuki reveals their destination and shows her pictures of the inside. Mirie becomes even more excited. Ray tells her they'll have fun, and she grabs his hand, bouncing with joy. Kazuki declares they're going to have a blast, and they all agree. They enter. It's an amusement park. They start by going down a slide together. Then they cross a climbing net, and Mirie plays another game with Ray before jumping on a trampoline. Kazuki snaps a picture of her. Next, she tries bouldering. Kazuki worries because climbing seems difficult for her, asking what happens if she falls. A worker tells him she's secured with a safety line. Mirie laughs and says Kazuki Papa isn't good at climbing. When it's Ray's turn, he scales the wall quickly, and Mirie cheers that Ray Papa is cool. Afterward, they sit down to drink some water. Kazuki receives a message from Marie's mom saying she'll pick her up at 6. Just then, Mirie returns, and Kazuki suggests grabbing food on the way. Mirie asks for ice cream, so Kazuki tells Ray to buy it while he goes ahead to find a table. Mirie soon arrives holding Ray's hand, and they sit together. Kazuki notices her large ice cream. Mirie grins and tells Ray to open his mouth, and he can't refuse. Then she offers some to Kazuki, who gets emotional and happily eats it. Mirie says it tastes even better when they share it and keeps eating. Kazuki asks for another bite, but she refuses. He argues there's still plenty left, so Mirie quickly gobbles it down. Kazuki calls her a meanie, but Mirie mispronounces it as weenie, making Ray correct her and causing Kazuki to laugh. After she finishes eating, she says it tasted nice. Kazuki picks her up to wipe her face clean. Her eyes drift to a boy sharing his meal with his mother, and she quietly says she wishes her own mom could have eaten with them. Kazuki glances at the boy enjoying time with his mom and softly agrees, holding Mirie close as his eyes fill with tears while Ray silently observes. Mirie giggles that it tickles. so he puts her down and she happily runs off saying she wants to play video games. As she waves from a distance, Kazuki asks if they robbed Marie's mother of her happiness. Ray answers that he doesn't know, then stands and says they should enjoy the day. They play Mario Kart afterward and Ray wins. Mirie compliments him and Kazuki buys her toys, telling her she can choose anything she likes. Mirie joyfully thanks him. She then says she wants to wear a new dress for the Christmas party, and they tell her it will suit her well. Eventually, they reach the Ferris wheel and Mirie says it looks huge. Kazuki suggests they take a ride. Mirie asks if it's scary, and Ray says it isn't. When the wheel rises, Mirie is amazed by the view. Kazuki quietly tells Ray he isn't ready for what's coming. Ray admits they've grown too attached, looking troubled. Kazuki says he only wants Mirie to have a peaceful, ordinary life with her mother instead of a dangerous one with assassins. Ray becomes emotional. Just then Mirie announces they're at the top and calls them to look. They all lean toward the window, taking in the scenery. Ray says it's beautiful. As the wheel descends, Ray thanks Mirie for showing him things he never experienced before. Kazuki replies that they received more than they ever expected. Suddenly, the Ferris wheel stops. Later, they return home where Mirie sees her mom, and Kazuki says this is the surprise gift from her papus. She beams when he adds that it's a sleepover just for her and her mother. She runs to her mom while the two men stand there, heavy-hearted, knowing she'll be gone for good. Kazuki calls out to Mirie to cover her with a blanket so she won't get cold. She says goodbye to her papus and walks away. Kazuki and Ray watch with sorrow, aware she won't return. In the next scene, Ray is gaming when Kazuki comes over and asks if he plans to sleep. Ray says he'll rest in the morning. Kazuki reminds him that morning has already arrived and heads to his room saying goodnight. Ray struggles to sleep, thinking nonstop about Mirie. He notices her toy beside him as he tries to drift off. Meanwhile, Kazuki walks into Mirie's old room, picks up her drawing pad, and looks through her artwork. He finds what she made for them on Father's Day and recalls her thanking them for everything, causing tears to fill his eyes. Ray, asleep, keeps Mirie's toy close. Later, both look gloomy eating without her. Kazuki goes shopping afterward and unknowingly buys her favorite cornflakes, realizing it only after reaching home. He and Ray end up eating Mirie's favorite cereal together. Kazuki then visits the park where he used to bring Mirie. A girl passing by briefly catches his attention, and people nearby grow suspicious because he's been sitting there all day. When he hears their whispers, he feels like they think he's a kidnapper. At night, they eat ramen since there's no reason to cook healthy meals without Mirie and watch her favorite cartoon because they miss her badly. Later, Ray steps outside trying to light a cigarette. Kazuki mentions he hasn't seen him smoke lately. Ray replies that Kazuki told him not to smoke around Mirie. Kazuki says that it's strangely quiet without her except for Ray's games. Kazuki retorts that Ray has been ruining his cooking. Ray snaps that he should order food if it bothers him. Ray then says he hopes Mirie is eating properly. Kazuki assures him her mother must be feeding her well. Ray then says he'll return to his father's home since he was asked to come back. Kazuki agrees because they don't have much reason to stay together anymore. Ray offers him the apartment, but Kazuki refuses, saying he'll move somewhere smaller because this one is too large for someone living alone. He looks saddened. Ray hands him his lighter before leaving, and Kazuki remarks that this must be his parting gift. Meanwhile, Mirie is thrilled to eat the hamburger steak her mom cooked, since it's her favorite. But after she tries it, she says it doesn't taste like the one she used to have. Her mom says it's better than the cheap ones and shows an injured finger, saying she worked hard to make it. Mirie simply eats and says she likes this one too. Next, Kazuki asks Ciro if he has any jobs for him. But Kazuki is drunk and miserable. He refuses to give Kazuki work until he recovers and hands him money to use until then. Kazuki explains he left the money for Karine, but she wouldn't accept it, so he wants Ciro to take it back. Ciro says he won't give it all at once because Kazuki would spend it. Kazuki says he's not his mother. Ciro comments that Mirie meant more to Kazuki than he expected. He asks about Ray, and Kazuki says Ray left early in the morning because his father summoned him. Ciro replies he had no choice but to return. Meanwhile, Ray stands before his father, who asks if he has truly decided to come back. Ray says yes, boss. His father welcomes him, saying he will now learn their family business and eventually take the lead, giving Ray his position. We then see Mirie practicing a song for a Christmas celebration while her mother listens. She claps afterward, praising Mirie's singing. Mirie hugs her and says everyone at Daycare praises her too. As her mother organizes clothes in the drawer, Mirie asks when Kazuki and Ray will come to get her. Her mother tells her those men aren't her papus. Mirie insists they are. Kazuki cooks wonderfully and Ray is good at games, and wishes they could all live together. Her mother hugs her, apologizing for making her feel lonely, promising to become the kind of mother she loves. Mirie replies that she already loves her. Back with Ray. His father says there's something Ray must deal with before learning the business. He believes Ray still has too many emotional bonds. Showing Ray a photo of him with Mirie and Kazuki, he tells Ray to sever all ties with them. But knowing Ray may find it difficult, he adds that he will eliminate them himself. Mirie rests quietly beside her mother while Ray pleads with his father, begging him not to harm her and promising he'll obey if she's spared. His father coldly replies that an assassin has already been sent after Mirie and Kazuki. Panicked, Ray rushes out, calling Kazuki to warn him. Kazuki immediately runs to protect Mirie while informing Ciro over the phone. Meanwhile, once Mirie is asleep, her mother steps out of the room. At that moment, Misaka's phone rings and footsteps approach the stairs. She hesitates to answer, but the doorbell interrupts, so she goes to check. When she asks who's there, a man claims he's delivering a package, but the moment she opens the door, he shoots her and walks in. It's Oi, arriving to eliminate Mirie. Misaka collapses as he grabs her hair and demands to know where Mei is. She manages to slip away and crawls toward Mirie, but her wounds stop her from moving farther. Oi tells her to speak her final words before he kills her. Just then Kazuki shows up and fires, but Oi blocks it and hurls him aside. When Oi tries shooting him, Kazuki throws a bag at him and then spots Marie's mother dying nearby. He attempts to shoot Oi again, but Oi stops him by choking him and says Kazuki is also a target, shooting him in the shoulder. Meanwhile, Mirie remains asleep in her bed. Kazuki collapses, and Oi tells him to wait his turn because he wants to write down the woman's final words first. Kazuki threatens to call the police, but Oi says he'll finish everything before they arrive. Kazuki insists it's over for him now. Confused, Oi asks what Kazuki thinks he can do. Kazuki answers that he's only the brains of their team, then shouts for Ray. Oi turns expecting an attack, but Kazuki uses the distraction to strike. However, the plan fails, and Oi stops him with ease. Just as he's about to kill Kazuki, police sirens echo outside. Oi kicks Kazuki in the face, moves toward the window, and leaps out to escape. Kazuki holds Marie's mother, urging her not to die. Ciro arrives, revealing he faked the sirens and warns that real officers are almost there. Masasa points toward Marie's room as her strength fades. While Kazuki struggles to accept she's dying, Ciro pushes him to hurry. Mirie is still asleep. Masasa begs Kazuki to protect Mirie and apologize to her for missing her Christmas party, tears slipping down her face. Kazuki pleads with her not to leave because Mirie needs a family. Huo comes out carrying Mirie and tells Kazuki it's time to go. He brings Mirie close to her mother one last time. Tears fall from her mother's eyes as she touches her daughter and apologizes for being selfish before passing away. When police sirens sound again, they leave. Later, Kazuki wraps his wounded shoulder while Mirie continues sleeping. Ciro takes them to a safe hideout, explaining that Ray was already informed of their location. When Ray arrives and sees Mirie resting, he feels relieved she survived. Ciro apologizes for separating Mirie from them and giving her to Masasa, thinking it would keep her safe from the people investigating Ray's past, but he admits he was wrong and blames himself. Mirie murmurs in her sleep, and knowing she'll be hungry later, Ciro goes to get food. Ray asks Kazuki what they should do next, remembering Marie's mother's plea to protect her. Kazuki suggests erasing every trace of Mirie and placing her in an orphanage so they can leave her life permanently. But Ray wants to stay with her, admitting he's lived like a lifeless statue who has only run from his father's world. He remembers the warmth of holding her hand and the peaceful moments walking with Kazuki and Mirie. He wants that life again. Kazuki initially argues they can't be part of Marie's future anymore, but Ray insists they must protect her and think of a way. Kazuki suddenly remembers his wife, his time with Mei, how happy Mirie made him, and his sister-in-law telling him she believed he could make Mirie happy too. His heart changes and he decides not to abandon her. When Mirie wakes up asking for her mother, Kazuki hugs her and lies that she had something important to do and will return soon. Mirie falls asleep in his arms again. Kazuki then tells Ray they'll split chores and childcare more fairly this time. After putting Mirie back to bed, they speak to Ciro, explaining they plan to quit being assassins and focus on raising Mai. The next morning, Mirie jumps on Ray to wake him, laughing. Afterward, they prepare breakfast together. She helps with cooking and comments on the delicious smell. When the meal is ready, it looks great. Kazuki tastes it, and Mirie asks if it's good. He tells her she passed, and she excitedly high-fives Ray. Later, as Mirie gets ready for nursery, she struggles with her tight shoes because she's grown. Outside, Ray mentions it's been a year since they adopted her. Snow falls, and Mirie runs ahead, saying she wants to play. She proudly shows them a Santa drawing she made. Kazuki asks Mirie what she wants for Christmas, and she replies that her mother has already told Santa her wish. They head to the nursery to drop her off, as the daycare's Christmas party is happening that day. When they arrive, Mirie excitedly runs towards Santa. Miss Anna comes out and asks whether Marie's mother will be attending the event. Mirie also asks if her mother is coming. Instead of revealing the truth about her passing, Kazuki tells Mirie that Miki can't be there because she's on an important trip. Ray adds that once they finish their important task, both of them will attend the Christmas party. Mirie asks them to pinky promise, and Ray agrees. When her friend calls her over, Mirie waves goodbye, saying, "Ba papas." Miss Anna mentions that Mirie practiced a lot for the performance and hopes they'll be there. They assure her they will. After that, they meet Ciro, who is waiting for them. He opens a bag of weapons and hands one to Ray. Before leaving, he warns them not to be late for Marie's party. Kazuki mutters that they might not make it back alive, and Ciro angrily throws the bag in his face before walking off. They head toward Ray's father to negotiate a peaceful exit from the organization. As they approach, Ray looks at the Santa costume Kudo gave them to wear at Marie's party and asks Kazuki if he believes in Santa. Kazuki explains he grew up separated from his parents and never received gifts, so believing was impossible. Ray agrees but says that even if they don't believe, Mirie does, and it's their job as her parents to protect that dream. He offers to play Santa. Kazuki says it's fine because Kuda gave them 2 costumes, so they can both dress up for her. They reach the organization's entrance. Ray asks to speak with the boss. Guards search them and confiscate their weapons, while Ray is allowed through. Kazuki is stopped outside. Ray protests, saying Kazuki is his partner, but henchmen surround Kazuki with guns, citing the boss's orders. Kazuki taunts them, saying they haven't disarmed him completely because Ray himself is a weapon. At that moment, Ray attacks one of the guards, slamming him into another. Kazuki jumps behind the third man, while Ray grabs a gun and shoots the last henchman. Kazuki runs to the car, shouting for Ray to get in. Inside the compound, the henchmen mobilize as soon as they receive orders to eliminate Ray and Kazuki. Ano remarks that since they've arrived, it's time to kill. Ray prepares his weapon as they head toward the base, but suddenly bullets rain down, shattering their car windows. Ray fires back while Kazuki drives, saying they should make it dramatic. He then takes a shortcut toward the building. Smoke pours from the vehicle, and it crashes into the organization's entrance. Ray emerges and immediately spots Ano watching them. Kazuki steps out coughing. Ray tells him to move, and as they rush to open the door, gunfire erupts from within. Ray counts 8 enemies and declares he'll handle 6. They throw a gas bomb, filling the area with smoke. The henchmen fire blindly as Ray and Kazuki slip in and eliminate them. They split up as planned and Kazuki takes out 2 guards. Ray moves upward, tossing another gas bomb and dispatching more men. Kazuki follows up the same staircase but freezes when Ano appears through the smoke. He fires, but Ano strikes first and slams him down. Ano prepares to finish him and demands Kazuki's final words. Meanwhile, Miss Anna compliments Marie's craft project. Mirie says she'll show it to her papas. Anna hopes they finish their work soon and join the party. Mirie reminds her that they made a pinky promise. Back to the fight. Ano is about to shoot Kazuki when Ray arrives in time to save him. Ray and Ano exchange gunfire in a brutal clash. During the fight, Ano shoots Ray, but Ray survives thanks to his bulletproof vest. Kazuki rushes over to help him. Ano approaches again and Kazuki distracts him, sarcastically offering his last words. Enraged, Ano fires as Kazuki runs. Kazuki loses his weapon but keeps moving, forcing Ano to chase him. Another shot hits and Kazuki ducks into a room. He throws objects at Ano, but Ano shoots them aside and hits Kazuki in the leg. As he closes in to kill him, he demands Kazuki's final message for his diary. When Ano opens it, Kazuki grips a gas cylinder and threatens to take him down with him. Ray bursts in, but Ano punches him away. He kicks Ray and aims his gun, but Ray knocks the weapon aside. They grapple as Ano tries choking Ray. Suddenly, Kazuki stabs Ano in the back and Ray headbutts him, driving the blade through his neck. Ano collapses. Ray offers his hand, asking if Kazuki can stand. With Ray's help, he gets up and they move out. Ano reaches toward his diary, but a lighter rolls near him, igniting the gas cylinder and engulfing him in flames. After wrapping Kazuki's injured leg, Ray insists on confronting his father alone and tells Kazuki to find an escape vehicle. Meanwhile, Mirie gets ready for the Christmas event with her classmates. Ray enters his father's room and approaches him, saying he's leaving the organization. His father refuses, declaring it Ray's destiny. Ray repeats that he's leaving. His father grabs a gun but Ray shoots first. Even while wounded, his father tells him to kill him but warns that the organization will hunt him down. Ray says he only wants to live peacefully with his real family. He acknowledges that his father taught him survival, something he's grateful for, but living away from him opened his eyes to what truly matters. He recalls every moment spent with Kazuki and Mirie, saying those are the most precious memories of his life, something being an assassin never gave him. His father insists that no matter what he does, he can't escape their bloodline. Ray confidently replies that he can, because his bond with Kazuki and Mirie is stronger than blood. To sever his ties permanently, Ray purposely shoots himself in the shoulder, making himself unfit to return as an assassin. as Ray leaves. His father nearly shoots him from behind but ultimately lowers his weapon, letting him go. Outside, Kazuki waits. Seeing Ray's injury, he asks about it, and Ray says he caused it himself. They quickly leave. Back at the daycare, Marie's class prepares to sing for the Christmas program. With Miss Anna on piano, they begin. Mary scans the audience, looking for her papas. At that moment, she spots them entering in Santa costumes, hiding their injuries. She beams with joy because they kept their promise. After the performance, she runs over and hugs them both. Ray compliments her singing, and Mary happily thanks him. Miss Anna notices their matching outfits and snaps a family photo. The story then jumps forward 10 years. Teenage Mary begins her first day of high school. Kazuki and Ray now run a diner together. Ray serves her breakfast and she smiles, saying it's delicious, calling him Ray Papa. Suddenly, she remembers something and rushes to the doorway, calling them over. She leads them outside to take a photo and snaps a cheerful selfie. The story ends by showing a collection of photos capturing the past decade of their lives, moments full of warmth and family. Thanks for watching. Check out this next video and remember to subscribe Annie Zap.